Good morning, students, to TY BCom Semester 5 at Anand Commerce College, Anand. These online lectures are being delivered as per the guidance of Department of Education, Government of Gujarat. Myself, Professor Devang Trivedi, shall continue to engage you for the subject Business Ethics at TY BCom Semester 5 at Anand Commerce College, Anand. The paper code of this subject is UB05 SCOM 21. In the first part of these online lectures, we discussed about the introduction of business ethics and morals, need for business ethics, and benefits of business ethics. And what is business ethics? Business ethics, as I told you, may be defined as the businessman's integrity so far as his conduct or behavior is concerned in all fields of business as well as towards the society and other businesses. Business ethics deals with morality in the business environment. It involves moral judgments based on the understanding of the society. Ethics extends beyond the legal questions and involves the goodness and badness of an act. Business morality is the application of moral principles to business problems. In particular, business practice therefore becomes moral and fair or immoral and unfair depending upon its consistency or inconsistency with a particular moral theory. And we know that morals refer to any generally accepted customs of conduct or norms of behavior of right and good living in a society. According to William Shaw, business ethics is the study of what constitute right and wrong or good and bad human conduct in business context. Suppose a supplier has promised his client to procure for him a particular inventory which is rather scarce. Now, when he acquires that inventory item, he is approached by another buyer who offers him a higher price for the same. Should he then sell that inventory to this new buyer and conveniently forget his promise and urgency of his old buyer? This involves, friends, ethics. After selling that inventory to this new buyer, even if he further attempts to procure the same again for his old buyer, is the act normally justified? See, a trader operating in a remote market learns about his monopoly position and starts charging extra premium on the prices of his merchandise. Can we say that he is doing his business with moral instinct? Should we approach a director of a company using insider information without the knowledge of others for speculative transaction in the stock market? What will be our moral stand in respect of an officer whose wife is an insurance agent and who simply advises his subordinates to take insurance through her? What should an honest employee do when his superiors try to cover up wrongdoings in the organization? Should he remain silent or approach the public media to build alertness in the society about the same? Should we allow and indulge into business practices like gift, kickbacks, secret commission, and favor on selective basis, etc.? Should we sideline or override the law or the rules in a clever manner for the benefit of our corporation? Should we implant our people in our competitors' organization, or should we use some confidential information relating to him which coincidentally and eventually we have obtained for the sake of our benefit? How do we look at bribes using political connections, deferring our obligations by adopting legal tactics? See, all these are moral issues relating to business. The list can go long and long to an n number. And therefore, Thomas Garrett has defined ethics and business ethics. It is the science of judging specifically human ends and the relationship of means of those ends. In some ways, it is also the art of controlling means so that they will serve specifically human needs. Business ethics is concerned primarily with the relationship of business goals and techniques to specific human needs. It studies the specific obligations which a man and a citizen accepts when he becomes a part of the world of commerce. Business ethics examines the impact of actions and interactions of business people and business organizations on individuals, institutions, business community, and society as a whole. Business ethics questions about the morality of prevalent business practices and try to assess and evaluate as to how far they are good and right. It tries to investigate the basic purpose of a business and the fundamental duty of business towards the society. Thus, business ethics attempts to develop a self-monitoring mechanism to see that the right kind of business practices will prevail and the business will be organized and conducted in a good spirit. So, students, business ethics thus covers a gamut of malpractices that one follows while carrying out the business activity, and one has to rise above that in order to deliver a health and wealth to the society. Now let's move to the next point, that is principles of business ethics. Principles of ethics are universal and they apply to business also. However, due to the very special nature of business, it requires certain basic specific principles. The late American President W. Wilson has laid down four important principles for the proper conduct of business. Number one, the rule of publicity. This rule describes the necessity and importance of maintaining transparency in business. The people should be adequately informed about the nature, purpose, and consequences of business dealings. This principle states that let the people know what it is going to do. Usually, misunderstandings, suspicion, and false conjecture arise out of secretiveness. Therefore, people must be properly acknowledged about what the business is going to do. Second is the rule of equivalent price. This rule states that let the public receive goods and services fully equivalent to the money paid. In other words, the buyers should get the best return of their spendings. The business should see that it offers products having utility and quality equal to the price paid. There should be an element of mutual benefit when the business gets the price for what it renders as a reward. The customer must get a satisfaction due to the fulfillment of his needs for the sacrifice which he has made by way of spending. The third principle is the rule of conscience in business. This principle emphasizes that the rules of business games must be of a higher order than those of an ordinary game, sustained by moral judgment of honorable men. Because business is very special type of activity. It uses the society's resources as input and offers an output to the society for material satisfaction. It is responsible for employment generation, wealth creation, and economic development of the society. Therefore, the decisions of businessmen should be governed by the concern for the society rather than by selfish motives. A conscience in business will motivate the business to function in the best interest of the stakeholders and the society at large. The fourth principle is the rule of spirit of service. This principle suggests to see that The things you do for the public and get money for it is the best thing of what kind that can be done. It emphasizes on quality of service and acceptance of the obligation to offer the best return of the price paid by the customer. The business must remember that service is the basic purpose of business and profit is the reward for working sincerely for accomplishment of this objective. The next principle is service first and profit next. Business has the primary goal and duty to serve the customers. Profit and profitability cannot be regarded as the objective of business. They may be useful criteria and indicators of business efficiency. A business should earn profit through service. The businessmen, according to Mahatma Gandhi, are the trustees, and a business therefore has the moral responsibility to work for the benefit of those whom it wants to serve. In fact, the purpose of all economic activities is to meet the needs of people and contribute to the well being of the society. Business is not an end in itself, but a mean to an end. The end is service to the society, and business act as a tool of human welfare. Sixth principle is business must be just and human as well as efficient and dynamic. The business will have to attend to all human and social objectives while successfully fulfilling the economic criteria. A business, no doubt, has to maintain efficiency and dynamism for survival and success. For this purpose, it has to put down and cut down the cost and enhance productivity and quality. The society entrusts the valuable and scarce resources to the businessman with an expectation of their fuller and appropriate utilization in the best interest of the people and society. Naturally, efforts to increase productivity and efficiency should result into human degradation and increased social cost. The business, therefore, has to treat all the stakeholders in a fair and just way. While appreciating its economic worth, the business will have to simultaneously safeguard the reasonable interest and take care of the customers, employees, shareholders, society, and the government. It has to reconcile and harmonize these separate and somewhat conflicting responsibilities. Next principle is with the growth in the size of business, attention must be paid to the growth of human values also. Because human dignity of labor should be taken up as important primary considerations in managing any business. Quite obviously, with the growth of business and increase in the size of organization, the personal relations with employees and human considerations may be overlooked. The work environment may become more formal and mechanistic. The acute division of labor and specialization may result into work monotony, routinization, and regimentation. The increased size of labor force may develop a need to insist on compliance of standards, procedures, rules, and regulations. Under such circumstances, the employees may be perceived simply as economic resource or factor of production with specific utility. Therefore, it becomes necessary to remind that every worker is first a human being and deserves a dignified treatment as individual. Moreover, the growth and success of any organization is really due to the sincere and creative contribution of the people working therein. The dignity of human labor and contribution so must be recognized and appreciated through positive actions showing concern for employees. An important aspect of business ethics is to make the human values grow consistently and significantly. The next principle is every business has a basic obligation of making the best and fullest use of its inputs. The business has to use the material and human inputs supplied by the society wisely, judiciously, and productively. Such input must be used to produce the output which is socially desirable and possess a utility value. The business should manufacture and supply the goods and services which will add to the material happiness and well-being of the society. It should never make products which will cause harm and distress to people. Product selectively is an important issue here. Should we produce goods and services which are highly profitable but socially undesirable, or the products which will add to the betterment of the society but the profit margin is in such case is very thin? See, this is a true ethical question in business. The best use of resources here does not simply mean the most profitable use, but it means a profitable as well as socially desirable use. The economic parameters of deciding the best use should have a social concern. Moreover, the fullest utilization of inputs refers to the optimum utilization of the same. There should neither be an overutilization or underutilization of resources, because both leads to an exploitation and wastage of the resources, which would ultimately result into rise in cost and rise in prices. The business should work for maximum output and not restricted output. This is possible only when inputs are fully used. Any strategy of restrictive production and supply in anticipation of higher price and more profit is an unethical business practice. Students, the last principle of business ethics is the business should promote and support open and healthy competition. Concentration, monopoly, cornering, and such other unfair practices should be watched and avoided. Healthy business competition encourages efficiency, innovation, quality upgradation, and a burning desire for continuous improvement. The businessman should develop and accept the spirit of competition and watch and insist for a fair play. So, while carrying out any business activity, all these principles, as I outlined here and discussed, must be observed and must be followed by every businessman. Okay, now let's move to the last point of this unit number 1, and that is ethical issues in corporate governance. Students, today we are living in the world of high competition, cutthroat competition, dynamic world, uncertainties, desire to increase profit and lower the cost. And in this situation, we are talking about ethical issues in corporate governance. A survey of 115 business executives regarding the attitude towards the corporate governance and ethical issues was conducted, and certain important facts have come to the surface. I would like to share with you these facts. That majority of business managers, they believe in good ethics. Various circumstances like unnatural competition, company policy, and plethora of rules and regulations often prevent the managers from putting this belief into practice. The problem that caused managers the greatest concern in corporate governance were those which involved buying business, using gift, bribes, personal favors, etc. Most managers do take time in making a decision to consider the ethical implications in corporate governance. Managers reiterated the importance of company policy in influencing ethical action. A man's personal code of conduct was given only a second place in corporate governance. The influence of supervisors through whom the company policy is most often transmitted was considered important in influencing the ethical action. Dishonest methods of competitors and unethical climate in the industry have often been cited as deterrents to the honest transaction of business. Corruption and greed of government officials, red tapeism, nepotism, and suffocating regulations were considered obstacles to ethical business behavior. The attitudes and reactions of the older business managers to situations demonstrated a greater ethical awareness than those of younger ones. In corporate governance, the size of company had no discernible influence on ethical decision making. Managers were dissatisfied with the idea that profit should be the only guidelines for businessmen in decision making. Formal education and training did not seem to have stimulated the desire to act honestly. Let me tell you. The ethical attitude of those who belonged to a religion which was more organized were no better than those in whose religion there is no much scope for guidance in corporate governance. Certain areas like say construction, engineering, research and development, banking, investment and insurance, they seem more prone to encouraging unethical practices than others so far as corporate governance is concerned. A majority of managers welcome the idea of a code of conduct and felt it would help to improve the ethical climate in the country. Managers also felt that the management of each company, that is self-regulation, would be the authority best suited to enforce the code. So far as the ethical issues in corporate governance is concerned, especially say in India and some other developing countries, the situation is not so encouraging. There are issues, and now we know that business ethics deals with every aspects of business and with each business function, and it covers say ethicals and ethical issues regarding say buyers. The seller must recognize the buyer as human being and not as sheep to be shown for making a profit. The seller must respect the right of buyer. The seller must disclose latest material defects to the buyer. Sound ethics, according to Manoria, condemns not only the intent to deceive but also the risking or permitting of deception without a proportionate reason. And the seller is unethical when he makes use of fraud or lying to get an advantage. Then we see the business relations, ethics about business relations in corporate governance. The competition in business should be fair and governed by basic ethics. The business rivalry should not turn into a ruthless battle. An unethical competition involves certain actions like, say, producing harm to a competitor by interfering with a production and distribution, unreasonable price cutting of products, or fomenting labor disputes and work stoppages in competitors' firm, hiring away key employees of competitors, bribing and extorting, making use of discriminatory or misleading advertisement. These are the actions which we quite often find in industry, and the corporate governance seems to be taking a very negative and a very different direction. Then say corporate governance regarding the employees. The dignity of workers, as I told you, should be preserved. In recruitment of employees, the ability of the candidate should be considered. And for this purpose, job specifications should be prepared. It will describe the required qualities and qualifications of employees. If the recruitment is made on the basis of prejudice or caprice and discrimination, it is then unethical and irrational. Then there are certain confrontations, say, in firing and dismissal of employees. It must be done for a just cause. It should not be based on the whim of an employer. A just cause may be any one of the, say, maybe old age, incapability due to old age, frequent illness, weak health, sustained job pressure, willful negligence towards duty, unauthorized and prolonged absence from the duty, violation of the there may be many causes. But the concerned employee should be given a reasonable and a fair chance to explain his position and plead his cause and case before the decision of dismissal is taken. And the harmful effects of dismissal should be mitigated as far as possible. And this is what the corporate governance is all about. And these are all the ethical issues in corporate governance so far as the employees are concerned. Then, say, secrecy. I have already spoken to you about the secrecy earlier. Information and secrecy. It is a matter of life and death. When some information relating to business becomes viral, keeping in secret is an important obligation of employees. And employees also. An employer also, rather. Certain decisions, resolutions, product processes, innovations and actions are required to be kept secret in the best interest of the firm. Any violation of this norm for the personal gain is unethical. The issue of information secrecy is a much broader, relate to variety of personal and professional obligation. A secret information is described and it has to be hidden from others. The obligatory secret involves a situation in which the revelation of the secret matter causes harm to the concerned or a violation of the contract. And therefore it is classified as a natural secret, promise secret, professional secret. The normal secret, and there are certain, basic code of conduct and in corporate governance so far as managing the secrecy of the business is concerned. And in a work organization, the employer has sufficient personal information about the employee, such as his health, the psychological test, earnings and investment, credit and loans, etc. And it should not disclose this information to the third party unless it is obligatory or for a good cause. then corporate governance issue and ethics comes in the honesty. It's a virtue in personal and professional work life of an individual and corporation. It involves truthness, integrity, transparency in all kinds of dealings. Double standards in business are unethical because they encourage dishonesty. Ethics demands that dishonesty should always be condemned and dishonest employee should be strictly dealt with. So, while talking about the corporate governance, we have to, the industry, that is the employer, the employee, and the entire ecosystem will have to get themselves prepared to accept the need for the business ethics in corporate governance. It cannot only be dealt with the legislative framework. Though there are legislations, there are laws to deal with such issues, but unless and until the different components of the ecosystem of the entire business world, they do not come to the term, and when they do not, until they do not accept these as a prerequisite to remain in the system and to grow together, it is very difficult to enforce the ethics in the corporate governance. And in a country like India, where quite often we do come across in a media, maybe a audio visual, or a print media, a lot of scandals involving the business people. Either they have taken the loan from the banks and they have escaped, or they have ran away from the country. There are many such instances. The bank employees are also part of the entire the mafia nexus where they siphon up the money. All these are the issues of a corporate governance and ethics and all that. So there are n number of examples and all that we can keep on discussing. But unless these things are addressed, and the nation and the society as a whole, when they unless they realize that they do need to go forward with ethics, this cannot be enforced only with the will of the government or a law. So, well, students, we conclude here your first unit, that is business ethics, that is introduction to business ethics. In the next lecture, I will give you the assignment question and we'll move to the unit number 2. Okay.